This is Hemant Mehta on the right. He's famous atheist YouTuber, blogger. On the left is Jonathan Shelley. He is a famous hate preacher, like an extremist nutcase hate preacher. Oh my God, dude. And he preaches largely about the LGBT community and how they deserve the death penalty. I mean, it's nuts. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, they sat down to have a conversation with each other, surprisingly. So I want to give this a listen, see what they have to say. And while we listen to this, we're going to play some Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom. If you never played before, it shouldn't bother you too much. It won't, it'll just be in the background. Also, this isn't part one. If you didn't see the others, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll get context if it's missing. But with all that said, let's listen.
But is there a straight flag? Why don't we put a straight flag up?
Same reason.
Being straight is not a minority group. That's the default position. And straight people are not oppressed. But would he be okay with a gay pride flag if there was a straight pride flag too? I mean, he's just like using ridiculous propaganda that he's read online right now.
Are gay because that is the age when they.
But is there a straight flag? Why don't we put a straight flag up?
Same reason.
Is there a black flag or a Hispanic flag?
Do we really need White History Month?
Do we need Jan?
Why can't we?
Jane?
What?
Have White History Month.
Because
What's wrong
you're
with
in
white
the majority.
people?
You don't need it. For minorities.
Oh, we don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need white pride. You know what white pride has caused? Public lynchings, cross burnings on people's yards or whatever. Hanging people from trees. That's what white pride leads to. You want to have Irish pride? Go nuts. You want to have British pride? Do it. You want to have, Scottish pride or German pride or whatever? Go nuts. White pride leads to lynchings and stuff. Historically, has always led to, like, extreme behavior. That's the kind of shit the KKK is always engaged in. You can be proud of your heritage. White is not a heritage. Well, let me rephrase. The heritage of white is the KKK.
Else is special except for us?
insecure?
No, I'm just saying that like there's definitely a bias against white people now.
No, you're in the
Oh, give me a break, dude.
majority. So you're doing
right
fine.
now. But it's not
And
going to
what's
last.
going to happen if you become 40% of the population? Nothing.
Well, what do you see happening now?
Nothing.
White people are being,
Well, our country's
prejudiced
becoming a
against right
lot
now.
more or less Christian.
Yes.
It's definitely declining in some industries and in some areas.
Do you think Christians are persecuted?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Who would you?
Are you kidding me?
Who would you rather be? If you're the victim,
I would never be a fag because that's
I'm saying
disgusting.
If you're missing my point. You're saying if Christians are persecuted, someone's got to be doing the persecuting. Like, which group do you think has it better than you guys do as Christians?
Well, here's the thing.
This is fascinating because I actually happen to have a clip from Steven Anderson about this. Give me a second. Let me find it here. Here it is, right here. Founder of the NIFB, the group that these preachers are a part of. Listen to Steven Anderson. This is mid-June 2021.
You know what I know is that today I can get up and preach the Word of God today and nobody's here to stop me. I can get up and thunder forth the Word of God and scream and yell the truths of Scripture as loud as I want and broadcast it all over the internet to the whole world. And you know what? Nobody's here to stop me, are they? So that's all that matters. Yeah, but what about next week? What if Biden gets a second term? Do you see what I mean? It's just stupid to just worry about stuff that never even happens. I mean, I remember when Obama got elected, it was supposed to be the end of the world too. 8 years of Obama, and here we are. Right? I mean, how much can creepy Uncle Joe actually do to us? And you know, the worst thing he can do to me is kill me, and then I'll just go straight to heaven. And guess what? Creepy Uncle Joe's not even talking about killing me. That's not going to happen. You know, we're not even experiencing serious persecution in America at all. You know, today the big persecution in America is like, oh, this bakery was forced to bake a cake for homos. Yeah. No, I'm not going to go underground, but it's like people are talking about going underground in America in 2021 when we're not even being persecuted. We're at like, out of 100, we're at like persecution level 3 out of 100. There was no forced vaccinations. All of these boogeymen that people are constantly scared of, you know, they don't even end up happening most of the time.
That's pretty on the nose, right? I love everything about it. Did he not realize people were listening to this or what? So the founder, the leader of this guy's church, the guy that appointed Jonathan Shelley to his church. I remember when Jonathan Shelley was appointed pastor of the church. It was Stephen Anderson's church. The guy that appointed him says that there is no persecution happening. This is like all made up. These are all boogeymen. So go on, Jonathan Shelley. Tell me more about how persecuted you are.
Group do you think has it better than you guys do as Christians?
Well, here's the thing.
Homos have it better because they got the
How?
red carpet rolled out for them over everything.
They
I
literally
don't
have to fight
look
for their rights in
I
the
don't. I will
States.
agree with you that I think that being a homosexual in America, they're treated worse than I am.
Yes.
Because here's the thing: the vast majority of people like me. Like the vast majority of people I have positive interactions with. They're excited to see me or my kids or my family. I have really good
I mean, the vast majority of people who know who I am are also excited to see me and talk to me and stuff. So I'm not sure what he's talking about here.
interactions. Whereas I think most homosexuals, people are disgusted by them. They treat them poorly. They treat them badly. They're discriminated against.
Okay, so he's making our point for us that people are mistreated based on their sexual identity or their sexual orientation.
Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge your religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
You will never hear gay
And-
people, maybe some stupid off chance person, but like gay people are not saying, let's execute these preachers, or that's what an ideal.
I have
what
about
an
5,000
Let me show you my-
emails. I have
let me show you my
5,000
phone.
emails and voicemails that disagree with you.
Okay, look, I have death threats too. When you become a public figure, you get death threats. Welcome to the club. I have like a billion death threats from people. That's just how it works. I had an absolutely wild one on SoundCloud that was hilarious a while back. I just laugh it off. These people don't like, let me rephrase, Christian hate preachers, like anti-gay preachers. They don't like constantly live in fear that they're going to be like killed or assaulted or whatever simply because they're Christian. Like, look at kids in school who are Christians. Do they ever worry about like being beaten because they're Christian? Of course they don't. I was Jehovah's Witness, which is an odd Christian, and I was never beaten because I was a Jehovah's Witness. So this world he's living in is just like fictitious once again.
Not trolls online. I'm saying like there's no, if there was a collective
Is
group.
every homo a troll? Well, here's the thing. I agree with you. I think homosexuals are probably treated worse, but that's because they're gross. They're disgusting. And so there's just
because
it's just
of assumptions you
no,
have
no, no.
made.
It's a natural reaction to be repulsed by those individuals.
Actually scientific.
So,
That's not
men
scientific.
men find
He says it's scientific. Oh my God.
effeminacy gross and repulsive. Men find men having a desire towards another man gross and
This is
repulsive.
another thing I find annoying about you guys, which is that you think something
Objectively-
and then you jump to
No,
this
no, no.
conclusion.
Wasn't
Everyone
there
thinks
an
this.
article that literally said that they did a brain scan study and they said when men see maggots, they have the same reaction to faggots, like when they're seeing like homos.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. To be perfectly honest with you, let me just like give you guys kind of an idea of, I guess, my mindset on this or whatever. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, since I was young, I used to play StarCraft 1, StarCraft Brood War, and I was in those chat rooms all the time, hanging out with people, talking to people, and there were like gay people in there, and I was a Jehovah's Witness, and as a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not supposed to like approve of gay people or whatever, right? It's part of the dogma. But I did. I knew I had a bunch of friends in those chat rooms and stuff. Because of course I wasn't allowed to like hang out with other people outside the religion. So that's how I got social interaction for a while, was like StarCraft chat rooms. There were a bunch of gay people that I knew in these StarCraft like BattleNet chat rooms or whatever. And I sat there and watched people like denigrate them, make fun of them, harass them, and I stepped in to defend them every single time. Because I recognize, like, this person is like my friend. They don't deserve to be hated or like attacked or whatever for this. I really laid into some people for attacking gay people. I have always respected the LGBT community, even when I wasn't supposed to. Not because not for any other reason other than because people should just be treated with respect like human beings. That's it. That's the bottom line. Because I have empathy, because I can put myself in someone else's shoes and recognize when someone's being treated unfairly and it's wrong. That being said, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I think I only ever saw two guys kiss once, and it was very jarring for me. Despite the fact that I supported the LGBT community to my dying breath, even when I wasn't supposed to, seeing two dudes kiss was very jarring. And I'm really not sure why, because seeing a man and a woman kiss isn't jarring. Seeing a woman and a woman kiss isn't jarring. Kind of weird, right? So if there were studies done that indicated that seeing two men kiss, led to negative emotions in people, even people who are like completely unconnected to this or didn't care about any of this or whatever, or supported the gay community, I would be willing to believe it. Simply for that reason. But I don't know. BattleNet is not social interaction. No. But that's the only one that I had. And I actually had a lot of friends on there. Like, I added friends that I talked to all the time and stuff. And then I brought them on AIM and Yahoo Messenger and stuff. Is literally all I had. So, when all you have is, like, text that you work with what you got, you know. Says it's because you weren't used to it. I thought that too, but think about this. Like, I have never been, I've never had a jarring reaction to two women kissing. Why do I have a jarring reaction to two men kissing? Weird. I feel there's got to be something there, right? There's got to be some explanation, some answer to this that I don't know.
Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. owenmorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video. Honestly, since I was little, I've only ever seen two dudes kiss maybe twice. Maybe 3 times in my entire life. In all of the pro-LGBT content I've released, in all of the anti-LGBT content that I've reviewed, I have only ever seen it a total of like 2 or 3 times. It's weird, right? Anyway, I don't know. Just something to think about. I thought it was interesting. It's because you probably dislike seeing men naked in general. Oh, I definitely dislike seeing men naked, but actually it's not just seeing men naked. It's like just two men kissing fully clothed, just like walking down the street and they kiss. I've only ever seen that like 2 or 3 times in my life. Anyway. Because you're attracted to women, not men. That's true. That's true. But why is it not jarring to me to see a man and a woman kiss? It's not like repulsive the way that these people are describing is the wrong word. Why is it not jarring to see that, I wonder? It's like that old joke on American Dad. There's Terry, the gay news broadcaster or whatever, and his dad was a football player and super anti-gay. And he's watching like adult entertainment, the dad is. And the gay dude walks in and the dad says, you probably only like this 50%, don't you? I like this 100%. It's like he just called himself bi. It's so funny. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, let's keep listening. The point is that I think that there is something there about people finding something jarring when it's like unexpected or something. And I don't know why or what it is or whatever, but I think there's something there. You know, when you were really little, you didn't like even a man and a woman kissing. It's a similar reaction to that, I think. That could be, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I mean, I've seen tons of men and women kiss. They kiss all the time in movies and so on. In a hetero couple, you can identify with a guy. With 2 guys, you cannot do that in the same way. That's true. Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's what we grew up with on TV and in general life. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of just like standard in society. Like this is just, it's kind of
built in to such a degree that people don't even realize how deeply it's built in. That could be. Anyway.
And they
Promise
said,
you that's not a study. You show me.
Step back and listen to what he said about study again.
Everyone
wasn't
thinks
there an
this.
article that literally said that they did a brain scan study, and they said when men see maggots, they have the same reaction to faggots, like when they're seeing like homosexual. And they said,
you that's not a study. You show me that.
I want to pull up the article because
Great, pull it up.
there's a literal article that said that men. Someone can find it.
Published
Someone can
where?
find it and text it to me. There's an article that literally says that straight men have the same reaction to seeing maggots and dead flesh as to seeing two men kiss. Or
Okay, that wasn't what he said the first time. That was him saying that just seeing maggots is the same as seeing a gay guy. But either way, hard doubt on this. I don't know. I'm super suspect here.
seeing
if they're
some
not
kind of a
interested
homosexual
in it,
act.
I'm sure stuff they don't want to do.
That's not
is-
like
who
then
cares?
that's
You
their
said
just
you're not
natural
interested
inclination.
in it, right?
Right.
What do you feel when you see those types of things?
Where am I seeing these types of things?
Well, in
Yeah, I never see that stuff. Even as a pro-LGBT activist, I never, ever see this.
any film
I
on
don't-
Hollywood
Twitter or
I,
anything.
I don't think it's like, all right, two guys, whatever. It's not my thing.
But like when you see it, I mean, obviously, most men that don't have those feelings at all, they're going to find it repulsive.
I don't think about it. It doesn't come up.
Oh man.
Okay, straight. Let's
Wait, are they showing video of two guys kissing?
see if we can read the article. Straight men's physiological stress response to seeing two men kissing is the same as seeing maggots.
Straight men's.
Yeah, that was again, but that's the vast majority of
Okay,
of
so it's
people.
saying-
So I'm just saying this is a literal article.
You
and-
said men.
well,
and my
yes.
point is, if you're-
obviously fags wouldn't
Oh
feel
my
that
God.
way. That was
my
implied.
point is, if you're saying like
they might even actually
if
find.
He was not specific enough. He moved from a super, super general position to a way more narrow explanation or a way more narrow understanding of the study.
two guys, if two guys don't want to see maggots and guys who are straight don't want to see gay men kissing, it's like, yeah, okay, they don't like it. Fine.
But I'm just saying, by
I
our
haven't
natural.
read that. I don't know what it says.
The
but
context of this commentary was based on how homosexuals are probably treated worse in society,
Yeah.
and that's one of the evidences because people go to see movies all the time. They see chick flicks, they see men and women kissing, and they don't find that gross. Whereas when men see other men being affectionate towards each other, it's gross.
No,
They
to
feel
you.
awkward.
It's not-
It's like it's disgusting. That's why the Bible said it's vile affections.
Adultery, you said, is the same type of sin, but I'm sure you've seen movies, TV shows where other men and women are doing something together. Are you repulsed by that? It's not.
Well,
your-
Yeah, this is something that I really don't fully understand. I just don't understand it. And I have to look to scientists to kind of explain this to me. I don't trust the study that he's presenting here because first of all, I haven't seen it. Second, I have no idea where he even found this study. If this is a legitimate study, I don't know. But this is an area that I'm just not familiar with, that's all. In a hetero couple, you can identify with the guy. With two guys, you cannot do that in the same way. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Does
life,
it is there's a certain level of disgust with it, but it's not the same. I would agree that it's not necessarily the same level of disgust. But yeah, if I
just
found
like,
out
okay, it's
look,
not
I
mine.
found out people personally like close to me were committing adultery, and it made me feel sick to my stomach. I felt horrible about it. I was upset about it.
That is not a natural reaction. That's just sad. Okay, I feel like I'm the perfect test case here because I didn't really grow up with homophobia. My dad made jokes about it, homophobic jokes. Like he'd make fun of being gay or whatever, but I understood it as a joke. It wasn't hate. Ultimately, what my dad was doing was contributing to a hateful environment for the LGBT community, obviously. But my dad would talk to gay people just as readily as he would anybody else, and he honestly, genuinely, really did not hate gay people. And in fact, I don't even think that my dad believed in like the Jehovah's Witness doctrine or whatever. I think he's just there because he wanted to be with my mom. So, in fact, there's pretty strong reason to believe that maybe my dad was a little bit gay. I think he might have been gay. Or bi, obviously, probably bi. But that hate never rubbed off on me because it wasn't really there exactly. I never hated anybody when I was younger. So I feel like I'm a good test case to see how society, when all other things being equal, in a completely neutral setting, how society affects, or what society produces regarding like homophobia or whatever. Kind of interesting.
Disgusted by it, and it does make me feel really bad about that person. But
Yeah, I don't feel that at all. I've never felt really bad about that person or disgusted by it or whatever. I just don't think about it. I mean, they say they're gay, they live their lives, and they're gay. Who cares?
it's not as bad as them being a homosexual. That's worse, objectively, for me at least.
For you.
But again, I'm just
But
saying.
you guys extrapolate then.
I would
You're
way
like,
rather be a
oh,
Christian because Christians are treated better, generally speaking. But from a government perspective, if we just identify to the
Yes.
government, I think the government is not treating Christians as fairly as they do homosexuals.
Oh, come on. How? Exactly. And again, the founder of his church, the guy that appointed him to be pastor, completely disagrees with this.
I think generally the populace treats me way better. The people like us.
What
but
is
the
it that
government,
you can't do as a Christian under the
Well,
government?
here's the thing: I can't use YouTube,
That's
and
not a government.
No, and that's not a Christian thing either. It has nothing to do with being Christian. It has to do with being a scumbag.
yeah, but the government has been involved in dealing with the Twitter files and with other social medias,
Government doesn't own
trying.
Bullshit. I just want to draw this out for a second. The Twitter files was a fabricated problem that was ginned up by Elon Musk to get attention. That's it. There's no legitimacy to the Twitter files thing. Dude claimed that Joe Biden interfered with Twitter's operations to do this or whatever else. Well, first of all, when he found these communications with Twitter or whatever, Joe Biden wasn't in government. He was not the president, was not the vice president, wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form. And what Joe Biden did was sent a request the same way everybody else sends a request to take down pictures that violated Twitter's terms of service in the first place. That's it. That's all that Joe Biden did. He was not pulling strings as the leader of government or any of that stuff. However, Donald Trump did try to pull strings as the leader of government and force Twitter to take down tweets of people who were insulting him. And to my knowledge, Twitter tried to find an internal justification for it. I don't remember if they finally decided to or not. But that was just kind of swept under the rug. The Twitter files thing is fabricated outrage over nothing.
Twitter, I
Yes,
hate
but the
ADL,
government went to
SPLC.
these companies and told them specifically to censor
SPLC 's a private
content.
group. No, it didn't.
I got banned from Twitter specifically, and Twitter files released that they had communications with the FBI in relation to censoring certain conservative accounts. Not only that,
They're just complete bullshit. He's fabricating this. So, wait, is it conservatives that are being censored or is it Christians? It's neither. It's scumbags. And they're not even being censored anyway. It's just like the persecution complex on this guy is just wild.
that I have a lot of other, I'm not even going to say it all, but there's a lot of things that have happened to me, and I guarantee that the government's been involved in it. I have people that have told me specifically that the government has been dealing with some of these situations. So yes, I do believe that the government is not treating Christians as fairly as they are homosexuals, because I think there's a homosexual agenda being pushed by certain individuals in there.
Okay, well, you're just wrong. He has no evidence of this whatsoever. Zero proof.
So yeah, from a government perspective, we're being persecuted. From a people perspective, no, I don't think so.
He's not being persecuted at all.
People love Christians. I visit all kinds of countries. People love us.
So he said that he's being persecuted by the government and then did not give us an example of government persecution. He has yet to give us an example of that.
treat us really great.
I'm trying to figure out like which state has laws that make it harder to be a Christian versus being anything else.
Well, there's Muslim countries and there's other countries
Not
that
other
persecute
countries.
Christians.
No. And I'm not defending like theocracies in other countries or anything like that. That's not okay either. I will grant you there are Christians literally persecuted in other countries. In here in the U.S. though, like
It's
No.
it's coming up. I mean,
It's
Oh, it'll be here any second. Just wait. Any 5 minutes now, just like Jesus. It'll be here right when Jesus arrives, too, I bet, huh?
not, though.
Well, I think in the Bible it alludes to it. And
And
it will
something I have
happen.
found, something I have found
right
because
now
I
it's
write
not,
about this stuff.
It's not physical violence,
Sure.
but it's going to get to that level. And
There is no persecution happening against Christians in the United States.
Would you call people out that were saying I think Christians should be put to death by the government?
Yes. Yeah, why wouldn't I call that out?
I'm just curious.
That's horrible.
Okay. Well, and here's the thing. We've had a long conversation, and I appreciate you being willing to even talk with us. I am kind of curious though, like why do you want to have this conversation? Like from your perspective, like me thinking I'm thinking he wants to get us to say something really awful in his mind that he can post
I
on
could watch your
Twitter
sermons.
and get more views. I'm just kind of genuinely curious, like why would you want to have a conversation with us?
I'm fascinated by you guys.
Yeah, same reason I want to listen to it, because it's just a fascination with how extreme and insane these people are. But they can still sit down and have a conversation, trying to suss out their logical processes and how they are flawed, but how they're still cohesive despite being flawed.
I
Is Steven Anderson the one banned from most of the developed world or the entire NIFB? I think it's Steven Anderson specifically, but I'm sure they'd start banning NIFB preachers if they started coming around. So, yeah.
think I'm just very intrigued by the way you preach, why you preach it. You strike me as people who I don't doubt your sincerity with the beliefs. I find them repulsive.
Have we preached anything that's
maggots?
loving?
Yes.
Have we preached anything that you agreed with?
I mean, general stuff, sure.
But when you say there's things that we preach that are repulsive, is this the vast majority of our preaching, in your opinion?
No, it's not.
It's just a handful of things.
But it's a lot of handfuls of things. And it's the stuff you get more excited about than other stuff. And again, there's a reason I think you do it more. If you spend more time on the caveats to all your horrible things and less time on the they deserve the death penalty, it wouldn't be that interesting. But it's the gleefulness after like a tragedy. It's just a fascinating.
Yeah, like scheduling a conference over top of the Pulse nightclub anniversary. That kind of shit right there.
Horrible thing that drawn to like a car accident in a sense. And after years of watching those sermons and hearing this stuff, and it's like trying to sound the alarm. I want to talk to you now because I don't want to have to talk to you after someone in one of your congregations takes the wrong message and goes off and plays vigilante.
If someone
Which already happened. Somebody already did that shit.
commits murder, I'll condemn murder. You know, I'm not going to be
I
happy
feel
about
like
that.
in the
He says that, but he didn't. Earlier, he specifically said God used them to accomplish his goal of killing gay people. He doesn't condemn. I mean, I guess he condemns the person for not letting the government do it, but he's praising the person for doing something that God wanted, or he's praising the situation at least. Like, there's so little difference in praising a person for doing something and praising what that person did that it's basically irrelevant. It's like saying, love the sinner, hate the sin. There's effectively no difference. If you hate people being gay, you effectively hate gay people. Functionally, there's no difference. He doesn't have to trick them into saying something awful. They do plenty on their own. Yeah. What's he even talking about? Trick them into this? What?
And I don't want someone to do that.
And I feel like in the same breath,
I hope
you would
that
say,
no
yeah,
one,
but they kind of
no, I hope that no one in my church or affiliated with any of our movement ever kills anybody for any reason. I don't even want it to be
agree.
self-defense, because I'm afraid that if someone defended themselves properly, that it would be twisted and it would almost be like, oh, these guys are quick triggered, or they want to
And
like
I
hurt.
believe-
Oh, they're absolutely quick triggered. But think about this. I find this really interesting, what he's saying here. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse, for example. This kid exercised his Second Amendment right, if you will. He was very clearly guilty, as far as I can tell. Kid was guilty of pulling the trigger unlawfully, of killing somebody unlawfully, murder. But you know what? He was found not guilty, okay? And that seems to act as a sign to other people that you can go to these protests and just kill people wantonly without worrying about consequences. But do you really want to face down the judicial system like that, the way that Kyle Rittenhouse did? Have your life turned upside down that way? Have to go to jail, spend time in jail? And he got crowdfunding. You think you'd get crowdfunding? They're like praising what Kyle Rittenhouse did, and they're saying, oh, we need to expand use of guns, bring guns to protests more often, so on and so forth, when that seems like the worst decision somebody could possibly make.
I believe you when you say that.
I don't want to hurt the message that we have.
Right.
I want genuinely for our government to change and to get back to biblical laws. And I think it's a far stretch. I don't think it's very likely. It's probably very unrealistic that it'll ever happen. But I think by us at least preaching what is right, what the Bible says, even though it's extreme, people hear that message and then they hear the gospel and then they end up getting saved. And so I think there's...
Again, like, it's extreme in the Old Testament. The New Testament doesn't really say any of that extreme shit about murdering gay people or whatever.
There's a net positive from even preaching some of the extreme things because people hear about us. And of course, we've gotten some attention. You know, you've helped us get some attention.
For better or for worse, and I've gotten pushback on that.
And I'm sure a lot of people will be mad at that. But at the end of the day, like, I think it's just all things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. So you're helping us get the gospel to many people.
That's the criticism I've gotten. But my fear is the next time I talk to you guys, it'll be because someone in your congregation took the law into their own hands, because they know even if you condemn what they are doing or what they did, you're still going to celebrate the fact that it happened.
Are you?
Yeah, I think Hemant Mehta is right to cover this kind of thing, honestly. I do.
You afraid of hell?
No, I don't think about hell. Like, that's my fear, though. Do you understand? That's my fear.
Well,
that's my concern. That someone's going to take a message that you tell me right now, you do not intend for that message to go through to them.
That's because that's not the message.
Right. But that is what they are going to hear because they do it all the time and they're going to do it. And I want you guys to take that concern seriously.
So that when you flip that concern back to you.
Yeah.
Now, you've put multiple things out there, and then some things get traction that you put on there, and then some things don't. But of course, what I said, 2 Novembers ago about the Colorado shooting, when you posted that went mega viral. And I'm not sure if it's the exact same time as you went on your excursion out to the woods and you said, oh, you came back and you're like, oh yeah, I had such a great time out in the mountains. And I'm like, well, I pray that you get eaten by mountain lions and bears or something like that. And then your followers got all upset about it.
This is funny to these people. This is like a joke. They're laughing. They hope that he's killed, right? Why is this funny to them?
Eaten by mountain lions and bears or something like that. And then your followers got all upset about it. But here's the thing. Let me just put this.
I didn't even know that.
Let me put this in a little context. You remember that?
I vaguely remember.
Okay, so let me put this in a little context for you. So when that went viral, all your people that listened to that and all the millions of people that viewed those things, you know, they're not getting you only paint one picture, that we're these evil hate preachers that are wanting death to be taken out on people.
Is that not like an exact description of their beliefs, feelings, interests, and ideals?
Which you are, by the way.
No. But the way you frame it, a lot.
Yes. There's no about it. That is exactly what you are.
Taking out on people.
Which you are, by the way.
No. But the way you frame it, a lot of times, is that we're
advocating
murder on gays.
Well, that's how people take it, obviously.
But that's not what we say. So hold on a second.
You are.
Just let me finish here.
Okay.
So you come home from a great weekend. You saw nature and it was all great. But you know what was happening to me that weekend? I was getting nonstop phone calls, people harassing me.
Why? Because he said he hopes that Hemant Mehta is eaten by a mountain lion? Is that why he's getting those phone calls? By the way, deflecting an arrow like that is really hard. I'm surprised I got that.
Night and day, I had to turn my phone off, and I'm getting all these queer pictures from all these queers that are saying how they're going to kill me and my family.
Okay, I don't know about that. I don't stand for death threats. Hemant Mehta doesn't stand for death threats. That's the thing. He's trying to equivocate. He's trying to compare the two situations and saying that it's exactly the same. Hemant Mehta is causing people to attack them or whatever, and they are causing people to attack Hemant Mehta. That's what he's trying to communicate here. It's simply not true, though. It's a strategy thing. Even if these people were on my side, even if these people were like militantly in favor of gay people, I would not approve of this strategy. I would not approve of their behavior, their thoughts, the things that they say and preach from the pulpit. It's a strategy problem, not a belief problem. Not even really about the fact that they don't like gay people. As Hemant Mehta said earlier, there are a ton of churches out there that are anti-gay, basically. Being anti-gay is not the problem. Being militant, violent extremists is the problem. And he wants to like compare the two. He wants to make it out like he's exactly the same as Hemant Mehta when it's just not the case.
Family, naming my children, naming my in-laws and my daughter-in-laws and my son-in-laws, and they're telling me all these different ways how they're going to torture them and kill them, and you know, I'm watching my back, never going through something as bad as I've ever gone through with that weekend. And then
That's bad. I don't stand for that. I'm sorry I had to go through that. But he's putting people through this on a daily basis. I wonder if this like acted as some wake-up call to him. I guess it didn't, did it?
I look on Twitter and you're like, oh, greatest weekend ever. And I'm like, well, I hope your weekend goes really bad. You know, so that's what I went through. And so think about the responsibility that you
He didn't say, I hope your weekend goes bad. He said, I hope you get murdered.
have when you clip those things together the way you do. What if you're responsible for one of us getting killed and our family members?
Again, Hemant Mehta does not advocate for militancy under any circumstances, and neither do I. It's a strategy difference. Nobody could ever interpret anything that either I or he say as encouraging violence or militance or whatever. But these people are militant.
How are you going to feel about that? Because in reality, I don't think anything that we've ever said that these people are getting protested the way we are. We're not having people with AR-15s are not showing up at people's doorsteps or showing up at people's church buildings
You know, my
and
side
surrounding
doesn't
them.
do guns.
But what I'm saying to you,
Yeah, but we don't have Christians mobbing you at your residence, do
yeah,
It has happened, not because of you guys.
right.
As a public
But the
figure,
point
Really? That's interesting. It's happened to me too. You know, where people are, God, dude, it was disturbing. It wasn't even like people creating a formed up protest, although that happened too. Oh, it was scary though.
I'm making is that you've made our life more dangerous
By
than we've
quoting
made
you.
to anybody.
by quoting you.
You're saying that you're quoting us, but
do.
that's not always a direct quote. You're
no,
saying
they are
hate,
video clips.
You're saying hate preacher says all teachers should be shot in the
and
back
then
of the
I
head.
show the clip.
But you don't ever include
It's
our
carefully
caveats.
edited.
It's not edited. It's
the quote,
shortened
it's
to
not
make
quote.
Always exact quote.
Nothing is edited that Hemant Mehta or I put out. In fact, Hemant Mehta, I've seen it before, strives to keep it honest. There was a quote forever ago from well, it wasn't even that long ago, I guess. Wow, I'm just trying to get like a good modifier on this sword, and I can't get one. There was a preacher not too long ago who famously told a terrible joke. God, I don't even know. Here's an example of Hemant Mehta and his honest editing and how I strive to be also. Okay? Why do I keep getting durability up on this? I don't want durability up. This pastor here had a joke. It's called Clip Chimped. It was taken completely out of context. So this joke he told, the joke basically goes like this. Men, when you are on your wedding day, you are supposed to just shut your mouth, put your suit on, follow your wife's instructions, do everything that she wants you to do because she's had this day planned for years. Just do what she wants. And then he said, now, women, on the wedding night, your man has had this night planned his whole life. Just do what he wants you to do, basically, is the joke. That's kind of terrible in its own right. But somebody, like, clipped it out and said, they just clipped out the part where he said, women, just shut your mouth and follow your man's instructions on your wedding night. They left out the other half of the joke. That's dishonest editing, obviously, right? Hemant Mehta honestly found that video and honestly clipped it out. Like, we don't need to lie about things. We don't need to lie about what's happening or what people believe or whatever. And if we do need to lie about it, then our job is not worth doing. Then we're not worth jack shit, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, that's a good example of Hemant Mehta being honest with what he says.
When it comes to that day, just stand where she tells you to stand, wear what she tells you to wear, and do what she tells you to do. You'll make her the happiest woman in the world, okay? Now, I got an amen. Let's see if you amen this. Now, ladies, when it comes to his wedding night, he has been planning this day his whole life.
See, that's what they cut off. They cut off the first half of that.
So just stand where he tells you to stand, wear what he tells you to wear, and do what he tells you to do, and you're going to make him the happiest man in the world. That's it, man. Okay.
Anyway, to my knowledge, I believe that that's just like a standard kind of preacher's joke or whatever that preachers tell a lot of the time. But the point is that Hemant Mehta goes out of his way to honestly represent what people say and what they believe and so on. Hemant Mehta does not take the NIFB out of context the way that they're accusing him here. And if they think that, then they're just lucky that it's Hemant Mehta covering them. Ugh, who cut it off? I believe it's just like a no-name account. It wasn't like a popular person who has a big following. It's just a random Twitter account. Maybe it was a sock puppet account of a bigger person, but yeah, it went viral from them. And I don't approve of that. So.
And you're quoting us, but that's not always a direct quote. You're saying
they are video clips.
You're saying hate preacher says all teachers should be shot in the back of the head.
And then I show the clip.
But you don't ever include
It's
our
carefully
caveats.
edited.
It's not edited. It's
the
shortened
quote.
It's
to
not
make
always exact quotes, and sometimes
If
you
I-
say that gays should be killed or
hang on.
murdered.
What, are they not proud of their positions and their beliefs or whatever? Why are they like denying this stuff? They very obviously believe this stuff. I feel like they keep dancing around these subjects. Just accept your beliefs. They very clearly want gay people dead, right? Stop pretending otherwise.
Let's correct this. If you said gays should not be executed, and I clipped out the word not, that's selective editing. When I say this is a thing you said, which
I've actually copy and pasted things that you said and said this is what I actually said, and it wasn't.
I think
an
there's a
exact
little
quote.
bit of editorializing to some of your
only
quotes.
to shorten a clip if it's too
But
long.
but you're sensationalizing
It is what you said. You
never.
He's not sensationalizing. And if they think that Hemant Mehta is sensationalizing or unfairly editing or something, they've never seen something unfairly edited before. I have, on both the left and the right. I've seen dishonest editing. Hemant Mehta is as honest as they come.
You never tell the other side. Like you said, he said, "Do we ever preach anything that's good?" It's everything with you is always ultra negative. But we don't only preach negative sermons. I
Other
preached a sermon last week that was 50 things that happen when you get saved. It was a positive sermon.
It was. I saw that one.
Yeah, there was
And it
nothing
was
negative
fine.
about it. I mean, how's that negative?
It's not. That
It's
part,
not. But like
it was
that
fine.
never gets told. It's just we're hate preachers, and then my phone's getting
Well, that's because he's a hate preacher.
blown up. I'm putting
Yeah.
security cameras around my house.
Do you feel
If
bad
there's-
about that?
No. If there's a
Okay.
swimming pool and someone shits in a corner of the swimming pool, and here's me saying, "Look over here," I think that's a valid thing to point out, and you're trying.
Fair enough, yeah.
But do you see the hypocrisy in what you're doing, though?
No, because
You're actually
what you're
getting
saying
people to
is,
try
look
to-
at the rest of the pool, and I'm saying I don't care about the rest of the pool. That's fine. If that's all you did, we would never have this discussion. But look over here because this is a problem.
Yeah, again, it's a militancy problem. It's a strategy problem, not even a belief problem.
If I was taking you out of context,
Yeah, but
I think
I've been
Yeah,
preaching the
yeah,
Bible
but
for
here's
8
the
years
thing.
and nobody's ever committed a crime. Like
Yes.
you're saying
Bullshit. People have been arrested at it from his church.
might happen, could happen, all
guy
this other
literally
stuff.
got arrested. Because
Yeah, but let's
That
say
wasn't because
let's say a
of me.
guy eats Indian food and he has an accident.
Watch yourself.
Okay, and in the pool. And then there's another guy that's literally just taking feces and just dumping it in there. And you're just like, this evil person's trying to ruin the pool. Well, one context is a lot different than the other. And what he's trying
Dude, I have no idea. Like, I have lost the thread so hard on this. What the hell is he even talking about? And how does this apply to anything at all?
to point out is that our context is never being added to some of your statements to make them less dramatic. So
If it makes you
I
feel
think,
better-
I think that you're personally trying to make them as dramatic as possible for attention and followers.
Well, that's just false.
No, I don't
not
get
caring
followers.
about the consequence of what would happen to us specifically.
I personally don't think you'd feel bad if we got killed, and I think
No, I
that,
would, because
I would too. I don't want anyone to die.
I
and
don't
to me,
want that
I'm
to
like,
happen.
you're trying to get me killed. That's kind of how I feel. And so when I'm lashing out at you, that's why. Because I feel like, well, if I'm getting all these death threats, did you get death threats that weekend? Because I sure as hell didn't.
I think
So
it's fair.
it pisses me off.
I think, and fine, but I think it's fair to quote you directly and say, this is what someone is preaching at a church. This is what they said based on.
Absolutely. Quote directly. Oh man, I just destroyed my sword. That sucks. If it's quoted directly, it's totally fair game.
On this conversation, I haven't taken you out of context. I haven't.
Do you ever put the caveat in there?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I've seen you do it a couple times, but
I
you
have.
don't do it every time.
The caveat being they believe the government should execute XYZ people. Yeah, that caveat is in there.
Well, that's why I asked you if you know the difference between, an execution or capital punishment and murder, because sometimes you'll say murder, but we're not saying for people to murder people. So, but
You're
that's
not
how
asking
people are
peop-
taking it.
I'm saying it
because
right
if people
now.
are blowing up my phone saying, "Well, you should be murdered,"
I think
you're
you're-
not taking
How did his phone number get out there in the first place? Is he like giving his number out or something?
responsibility for the
I think-
people that are messaging me.
I think you're making a big distinction between the government-sanctioned murder that you wish
not murder,
would be
though.
in place. It's the same thing. Death penalty is government-sanctioned murder.
No,
versus
it's-
people.
Murder, in their definition, is unjust or unlawful killing. But if the government's doing it, then it's just and lawful in their mind.
Taking the law into their
it's
own hands.
lawful killing
It's lawful
for
killing.
a capital
Fine.
crime.
Call it whatever you want.
Do you think
but
people
it's
should be put to death for
execution.
rape?
Huh?
Rape?
No, I want them locked away. If they
Yeah, I don't want death penalty for anyone.
are guilty of it,
But what are they doing?
what?
Letting them out. Letting them out to do it again.
What? Who's letting them out? What are you talking about? This is not happening.
Right after they do
If
it.
you want to have an argument about like the justice system as it applies to those people, we could have that conversation. It's a different conversation.
Well, I think they should be killed
and
lawfully after they get found guilty for it. That's
different
what the Bible
conversation. Different conversation. But
Yeah.
to your point, I don't think I'm taking you guys out of context. I do include the caveats.
I think you do a good job for the most part. I think you do a good job for the most part, but there are times when you're putting your own spin to it.
But if
and I
you're
think
so-
you're
Oh, just bullshit. He has no idea what spin looks like if he thinks Hemant Mehta is spinning. I've been the victim of extremist spin against me about nutcases coming after me for some crazy shit that I didn't even say or do or believe. He has no clue, okay? No clue.
responsible for how you spin it.
If you're so bothered by your own words, then
I'm
change
not bothered
your
by
own
my own words. I'm bothered by how you
By people criticizing him for those words.
spin it and the context in which you're giving it.
You're saying the spin is me clipping your own videos and sharing
No,
them
I'm
with
not
people.
ashamed of anything I preach.
Right, but then,
Unless I say something wrong, of course, then
Right.
I'd be ashamed of that, and I'll willing to take it back.
if
But
you
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
make it so
does the
easy.
news media ever take Trump out of context? Like when he brings up things like it's going to be a bloodbath.
That's not him being taken out of context, Donald Trump. That is Donald Trump dog whistling about killing people if he doesn't whatever, or inspiring a new civil war if he doesn't if he doesn't win or whatever. I don't think I've heard the media take him out of context directly, but I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure that there are news websites out there that do it. I'm sure there are smaller podcasters out there that do it. I just don't pay any attention to them personally.
But
Yeah.
doesn't context matter to that statement?
Sure it does. And when he says that sort of thing over and over in repeated ways, like, what do you think he's doing?
Yeah, but
It's called stochastic terrorism.
if
not
he
a
says,
metaphor
if he says,
at that
"Hey,
point."
if we print more money, it's our economy is going to be bad. It's going to be a bloodbath." That sounds different than
Sure.
if I say
Yeah, that's not what he said.
like, "Hey, we need to take these people out and kill them. and It's going to be a bloodbath." Doesn't
I get
that
your
change
point.
things?
I get your point. It's a fair point. With Trump, a lot of times it's, you guys, it's not one time out of context. Because believe me, if the example you just gave of the economy, inflation, bloodbath, that's one thing. If that's all it did, believe me, plenty of people would be like, stop making a big deal out of that. That's not the thing to focus on. When he starts using certain language, let's take out these people. That sort of language in different
Yeah, so Hemant Mehta doesn't have clips in front of him, but I do. The words that Donald Trump uses are direct quotes from Hitler. Like this one right here, for example. This is Trump directly quoting Hitler.
Has any idea where these people are coming from?
Talking about immigrants.
And we know they come from prisons. We know they come from mental institutions, insane asylums. We know they're terrorists. Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country. It's poisoning the blood of our country.
Direct quote from Hitler. You know how you establish intent in a court of law? You're not in somebody's head. You don't know if they intended to do something or if whatever. So how does a court determine intent? It's called mens rea. It's established by looking at their pattern of behavior. Are they doing something over and over and over again and seeing the results of this thing, and they continue doing it anyway? That's just one quote from Trump. Here's another one. Direct word-for-word quote from Hitler, translated to English.
And the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections.
He called them vermin. Vermin is a word from Hitler, okay? And then he retweeted on his Truth Central account or whatever. He retweeted a video that talked about creating a unified Reich. How, if we were in a court of law, intent would be established right now after everything that Trump has said. So anyway, Trump is not taken out of context by the media or whatever. When he says things like this, or when he says it's going to be a bloodbath or whatever, this is Donald Trump dog whistling. I'm comfortable saying intent's been established here.
The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within.
Anyway, yeah, these guys are not being taken out of context at all.
Context over and over. It's like, this is part of a pattern. This is who he is. I think that's fair to call out. This is the same thing with the sermon.
Yeah, but aren't you addressing or believing that we don't have a pattern of suggesting murder?
Say that again.
Do we have a pattern of suggesting murder?
You do it all the time.
Or are we suggesting capital punishment, though? Wouldn't you?
Murder?
I mean,
Government-sanctioned
we're
murder.
using, yeah, but isn't
But
murder,
you're saying murder
isn't
is
murder
the
the
wrong
unlawful killing of someone that's
Would you feel better if I
premeditated?
said, here's Pastor Thompson calling for government-sanctioned
I would just say executed.
execution?
Yeah, that
The
sounds
death
great.
penalty
And
for capital crime.
We just
Fine.
want to.
Like, they're playing semantic games when that nuance doesn't exist in these conversations. When somebody listens to what they say about hating gay people or whatever, they're not thinking to themselves, well, he said by the government, not by other people. I mean, if they're really deranged, troubled people, they're thinking, yeah, this guy's right. Gay people should die. They are trying to bring nuance into a conversation that, to the wrong person, has no nuance.
Us to
I
be
don't-
quoted directly.
I know, and I'm saying I don't think that makes as big of a difference as
But if
you
you
think
say
it does.
murder, that changes the definition. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
And
it's going to
then-
be bad. I'll
then
use
these
execution
freaks-
if it makes you feel
that
better.
would actually
Then
make
these
me feel
freaks that
better.
you think are such great people, I mean, I could show you thousands of texts that I got saying, and I've posted some of them on your Twitter page, unless you have me blocked or something, but I mean, where I'm showing, them saying, I'm going to kill you or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, again, I've gotten death threats too. First time on the internet. Welcome to the club. Not that it's okay, and it's even less okay if what you're being attacked for didn't actually happen or you didn't say this thing or whatever. That happened to me. But these are his words. He put this out there into the ether and is proud of it and is arguing that he's correct about it. Like, if somebody shows that to the rest of the world, I don't like, what are you complaining about here? I don't know what the problem is.
You and your wife or
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
But that's
I
okay.
condemn that completely.
But what if someone actually does it? Because
I've gone through it.
But what I'm trying to
Again, like we've talked about this. Didn't Hemant Mehta talk about this earlier? He's not militant. I am not militant. I'm not advocating for the death of anybody, ever. Never have. Even if these people were on my side with things and agreed with me, I would not approve of their strategy and I'd have nothing to do with them.
to say is that it's the same thing. You're saying that you're afraid that one day, maybe, possibly, that this might happen, which it never has.
Yet. Right.
It never has. but you actually have people literally threatening us, literally showing up at our churches with AR-15s, screaming at our children.
We should ban AR-15s.
Which is actually
No,
we shouldn't. But which is actually
Dude, I love it. Like, Hemant Mehta came up with a good solution and then say no.
we should ban freaks from being able to intimidate people from walking into your church.
I agree.
You know,
He's literally like saying, he's complaining about something that Hemant Mehta did when he did this exact thing. And Hemant Mehta did not. This is crazy.
in the civil rights, you know why they passed laws about that? Because they were burning crosses in their church yards and bombing their churches. Guess what? You know what? That's happened to us too. Well, not crosses, but bombing our churches.
You have a right to meet. You have a right to.
Sorry,
All right, so we're talking in circles. I want to kind of wrap up, but here's the thing. I want to give our audience one opportunity. If you want to put a question in here, it's got to be a fair question. I'm not just going to ask anything that you put in there. But if you want to ask a question to any of the parties here, we might address them. So if you have a question, and we'll give them just a second here to put something in there. But I
probably have a hard out in 10 minutes. Just
no problem.
Okay.
We need to wrap up anyways. So if somebody has a quick question and this is your opportunity to put it in the chat, I'm going to look here for the next few minutes. But I do want to say thank you to at least having the conversation.
Thanks to both
And
of
it
you.
seems like you are sincere as far as just your intentions. I mean, I think that it's incredible that you watch as many sermons as you do.
Me too.
Because I personally thought you had a team. Like I'm just saying, like, for sure, I thought like people were sending you clips at least, or
Yeah, I don't have a team either. Sometimes people send me clips and stuff, but usually I have to go through the whole thing myself. Looking very snappy today. I like your shirt. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like the shirt too. It's a good one. Welcome, Chan, man.
or something, because that's just a lot. Like,
You
I
guys
feel
have
like you
so
literally
many
watch
sermons.
everything.
You have so many. Why do you do so many sermons? You could do like one a week. You'll be fine.
I mean, you were watching sermons that I'm thinking like, I can't believe he watched that sermon all the way through, because I was even boring for the first half of it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do double speed at least, sometimes even triple speed.
And I'm thinking like, how did you
Do you watch on
get
fast
through that?
speed?
I've watched everything on fast speed. Not sermons.
I did
I
too,
watch
actually.
movies on fast speed.
All right, someone has this question. Do you have a recommended list of books or a recommended book?
I assume that means for atheism or something.
This is just general.
If it's about religion, I would say Breaking the Spell by Daniel Dennett is a good primer for like how to think about things. That's a good one. If you're curious about evolution, I don't love Dawkins, but The Ancestor's Tale was a good non-atheism related, but it's about evolution. I like that one.
Any books outside of religious?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm reading the Robert Caro, Lyndon Johnson books. They're really good.
Have you ever read the Bridget Andau?
No.
I think you would like it. You should. That's a recommendation I always give to people. That's
What's it called?
The Bridge at Andau.
Okay.
It's like Andau. It's about the Hungarian Revolution in the 50s in regards to communism. So
Interesting.
I think it's a
I
great
am not
read.
familiar.
That does sound interesting. I'm unfamiliar too, but if I had to give a book recommendation, I would say, just for story, I believe, this is a tall claim I'm about to make, I believe that the Death Stalker book series by Simon R. Green is top 10 best stories ever told in human history. Every time I say that, people like look at me like I'm absolutely ridiculous, and maybe I am, but it is so good. And you can't just stop at the first book. Like, it starts getting really good after the first book. I mean, it's already good in the first, but oh man, it is such a phenomenally good story. As far as normal nonfiction books, I'd say The Coming of the Third Reich by Richard J. Evans, at least. And there, Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain by David Eagleman is good. A variety of others.
Someone also wants to ask why you got married.
I don't know if that's like a trick question.
It's not
or
a trick
what.
question.
Met
Why
my
did you
wife
get married and have kids?
Like, what's the point? Because he's not Christian?
Because I love my wife.
Hey, that's a good answer. Do you believe?
I don't think that the government has any place to, like, the government shouldn't be in my relationships, in my opinion. Marriage is like giving a knife to your spouse and a knife to the government and then turning around. You have to have a lot of trust for the person, in my opinion, but it also affords a lot of benefits, like in medical insurance and things like that. So
Do you believe in objective reality? Objective reality. I'm sorry.
I don't know what that means. I don't do philosophy. Not my thing. I don't have a good answer for whoever asked that question.
Yeah, I don't. It's pretty. That would be a big.
I'm not even knocking the question. There's people. If I go on like an atheist show where they ask those types of questions, like I'm not the guy to answer them because it's not something I spend time thinking about. You know this. I spend time on politics and what people do with their beliefs, and not so much the philosophy, theology behind all that.
Someone wants to know if you listen to the hymns too and the announcements.
Nope.
You just skip straight to the sermon? Yep. Okay. Do you sing any of the hymns?
Nope.
I listen to the announcements because sometimes they kind of go off the rails in announcements. In like Greg Locke particularly, he says some real wacky stuff in announcements.
Do you like any of the hymns? Oh.
No.
Okay. All right. I was just curious.
Yeah, I think all of the hymns suck.
A lot of questions I'm not going to ask, but
thank you. I can imagine.
No, we've had over 300 people in the chats, so watching just on Rumble alone. So I'm sure this is going to be a pretty
battery exhausted. Interesting. Why didn't they plug it in?
highly anticipated show. A lot of people were really shocked that we were going to have this conversation, myself included.
Me included too. That's crazy, right?
Same.
I think it's gone well, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate the conversation.
This person says, if you're an atheist, why do you not devote your life to pleasure?
He's an atheist, not a hedonist. And I'm sure that he does all kinds of things that bring him pleasure. But as it turns out, everybody does things that bring them pleasure, like getting married to their spouse. That brings them pleasure. I don't know what that even means. You know what brings me pleasure? Being a moral person, honestly.
Here's a general question. I'm not knocking the question. What do you think I would do? What does that person think atheists do when they don't believe in God? Because I've heard a lot of Christian apologists say something like, you just want to sin, you just want to do this.
I don't know that I would do necessarily anything different from a pleasure perspective.
Yeah.
I think if I was an atheist, though, I wouldn't waste my time listening to my sermons.
Hey, you're not the only one.
So I'm
said that to me.
So yeah, like why?
I feel like I can provide something useful when I'm saying this is what some people are doing with their beliefs. I do it with politics too, at the state level. Sometimes
I want to make the world better, a better place than I found it. That's why I talk about this stuff, about these people. I want to improve living conditions of people. That's an important goal for me. So that's why I do what I do.
Here's a person you've never heard of. It's a state representative in a state you probably don't pay attention to. This is a bill they sponsored because of their religion, and I find it really harmful. I find that useful. In the same way, I don't think a lot of people are necessarily who are outside your circles are watching those sermons, but if that's a service I can provide to people, that this is being said in the name of God, and it's harmful, and I can show that to people, then maybe I can offer them something they can't find anywhere else. And by the way, they can always go see it for themselves. I mean,
why and when did you become an atheist?
High school is when I started doubting my faith, and it kind of just solidified slowly after that.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't until I was like 23 or 24 when I just gave up on everything.
Are your parents still practicers of
yes,
Jan?
they are religious.
Or Jane? How do you say it?
Jane.
Jane.
They're still religious. Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do.
How many?
I have one sister.
Okay. Do you believe life has intrinsic value?
Depends on what intrinsic value means. Like, no, it's life. I mean, glad I'm here.
Someone wants to ask about Zionism, but I think it'd be a better question to just say, do you think that there's a problem with how much...
I'm going to guess that he's going to be in favor of the Palestinians, but also opposed to anti-Semitism, just like I am.
AIPAC or potentially like Israeli dual citizens have control in our government. Do you think that's a problem at all?
I don't like the lobby that is... The AIPAC is problematic. I mean, if you're a progressive Democrat, then AIPAC has not been on your side on a lot of things. So, like, I have a lot of problem with the Israeli government.
What about the ADL?
They've been horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. ADL has basically said any criticism of Israel as a country or the Israeli government at all is anti-Semitism. Even if it's Jews doing the criticizing, it's anti-Semitism. Like, what? ADL is awful. They're so bad. I used to really like the ADL because they've, very much like the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ADL has tracked extremist groups and their behavior and their, whatever. And that's great. But the ADL is awful now. The Anti-Defamation League, not good.
What about this? Someone asked, what do you think about the flat earth? But I would want to change that a little bit. What about people who believe in flat earth? How would you explain someone having that view from your perspective?
How would I explain that they shouldn't be flat earthers?
No, why do they even exist? How does someone come to that conclusion
It's
from
the same
your
reason
perspective?
people fall for different conspiracy theories. I think when you can latch onto something that everyone else knows is wrong, but in your subculture, in the circles you can run in, because flat earth being one of them, there are some people who buy into that, and they all know each other because they all follow each other.
It's like a cool rebellion club or something.
And they feel really smart because in that circle of people, they know stuff and they're
I agree.
confident. And people want a sense of belonging. I would argue that's why a lot of people join churches too. You feel like you're part of something that matters to a lot of people. And if it's not church, but they're part of some flat earth group of people in some forum somewhere or a subreddit somewhere, they feel like they are part of something where we all agree on this. And it's really hard to find that sort of community. So pick your conspiracy theory. You'll find people for that reason.
Well, I'm gonna end on this last question, and I think it's pretty interesting question. It said,
Here we go.
What would you do if your kids got saved? And I would kind of reword this. What if your kids listened to our sermons and actually liked them and agreed with them?
For me personally, before Hemant Mehta answers, I lived with conditional love my whole life. My parents predicated, is that the right word? They predicated their love on me being a member of the religion. That may not be the right word, but you get what I'm saying. If I don't follow their exact lifestyle, they withdraw their love and their communication, and that's the end of it. And I did. I walked away, and I was kicked out of my house in 11th grade, and that was it. Never really. I haven't had a relationship with my parents ever since then. I think that's wrong. I would love my kid no matter what. No matter what. If my kid turned out to be like Jeffrey Dahmer or John Wayne Gacy, I would visit my kid in prison. I wouldn't protect them from prosecution. I would make sure that society was protected from my kid. I wouldn't want to encourage bad behavior or anything like that, but I would still love them and I would still take care of them and I'd still defend them and protect them and I'd still pay for a lawyer because everybody deserves, a defense, even if they're bad people. And I'd still visit them in prison and I'd put money on their commissary no matter what, because I did not get that and I didn't even do anything bad at all, except for just not believing the same way anymore. So I don't care what my kid does. I will love my kid forever, period. There are no ifs, ands, or buts to it. Anyway, that's me.
I would be disturbed. Talking out of it is the wrong thing, but it's assuming they're old enough to make their old decisions. I don't have control over that. I hope they're doing good things with their lives, whatever it is they're doing. At that point, I don't own them. It's their life. Be good. I hope whatever values I taught you, you are still carrying forth. It's entirely possible. They probably think my kids are young. They are soon going to be at the point where I'm wrong about everything. So I know what's going to happen. And if they believe I'm wrong about the atheism thing, that's...
I don't know. Not all kids hit a phase where they think that their parent is wrong about everything. My kid totally falls in line with everything that I believe. I didn't want that. I wanted my kid to kind of come to her conclusions on her own for her own reasons. So I was not pushing her to believe any specific thing by any stretch of the imagination. She just ended up that way, I guess, which is cool with me. So it doesn't always happen that way.
It's not surprising either. It happens a lot. What do you hope? You hope you taught them the right values and they're using those. It's not something I would spend much time thinking about.
Did they watch the sermons with you?
They do not.
Okay. Well,
I don't know how old his kids are. They're probably 10, right?
So
You should let them.
yeah, I think so too.
Not on my worst enemies.
Just at least let them watch the salvation.
No.
Okay. Just the gospel message, if anything.
Would you be afraid that they would believe it?
No, I try not to have them watch any of them.
Okay.
They don't know what I do
Or
either.
watch the Preserved Bible. All right. Well, is there anything you want to plug before we end?
Hey, friendlyatheist.com is my site if you want to read what I write. That's it.
What about the Only Sky thing or something?
That was the site I used to write for. It's no longer in business. I just do my own thing
I didn't know that. Huh.
now.
Oh,
So
okay.
friendlyatheist.com is me if you're interested.
All right. Pastor Thompson, thanks for joining us for the conversation.
Absolutely. It was fun.
I appreciated you being here.
Can I plug something? real
Plug
quick?
your church. Plug whatever.
Well, we're having some preaching tonight at 6:00, and I'll be preaching at the.
Are you gonna be listening?
At the place?
No, I'm taking a break for
I'm
days.
not saying it publicly, but yeah, we're going to be streaming. Hopefully, you'll be streaming on the Steadfast channel,
Yeah, Rumble Steadfast channel.
and we're going to try to stream also on YouTube.
Wow, he's got a Rumble channel, Steadfast Baptist Rumble channel. Interesting. And he's going to try to. Did he say he's going to try to stream on YouTube? I mean, is he going to say something psychotic? If he's just giving the gospel message, I don't think anybody gives a shit.
YouTube. I'm not sure what channel. Probably Sure Foundation Seattle or something. But anyway, also there's soul winning tomorrow in Cicero,
Soul winning. They go door knocking. This specific denomination does.
and we have all the location, times, and all that. If you need to know where it's at, just email the church, Sure Foundation.
Anyway, yeah, I guess it sounds like that's the end. That's fascinating, man. That was a really interesting conversation. I can't believe that they managed to stay civil with each other. They managed to not attack each other over anything, or not get heated or angry or violent or whatever. Until the end, it seemed like what's his name, Aaron Thompson, the dude right in the middle there. I think that Aaron Thompson kind of started getting a little bit pissed off at a certain point, and that led to them kind of going downhill. But wow, that was a really interesting conversation. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.